Well, we have 149 billion Kenyan shilling. That's equivalent to 1.16 billion US dollars. That is the money that is available for you to grab it, to become part of it. I will explain what I mean by that particular thing. You know what is going on right now? The government of Kenya is about to dispose, or should I say, to sell its stake or a fraction of its stake in Safaricom. Let me explain. Safaricom as a company, for Kenyans can relate what I'm talking about. Safaricom as a company, it is a PLC, meaning it's a public listed company. It is owned by different people, should I say people or institutions. And government is one of that institution that owns Safaricom. And the government of Kenya has, right now as you speak, has 35% of Safaricom as its shares. And now the government is planning to sell a fraction of this percentage. Of course, we do not know how much in terms of the percentage, but we know how much they want to raise. They want to raise, in terms of $1 billion or in terms of dollars, they want to raise around 1.61 billion. This is equivalent to 149 billion Kenyan shilling. Okay, then I know you're about to ask me, then where am I coming in? Why is it important? Why did you say you can grab it? Good. This is what happens. Back then, back in 2008, around March of 2008, government of Kenya used to own around 60% of Safaricom. They had a previous 25% and the current 35%. So they decided to sell its 25%. Back then they were aiming to raise around 50 billion Kenyan shilling. Well, for the obvious reasons why they are looking for this, or might be a different reason, but back then they were looking for 50 billion. This time round, they are looking for 149 billion. Now, the question is this. 25% is gone, by the way. 25% is what you and me have in terms, if you have Safaricom shares, we call those shares free float. Okay, those are the shares that me and you can buy. That is 25% that the government sold. Now, government still retained 35% of this. They said, we want to sell a fraction of this for us to raise this amount of money. Well, why? Because, well, of course, it's a government and they need money to run their services, and they actually, they have some shortcomings as far as the money is concerned to do this or the other, blah, 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 blah. Whatever the reason a government can give, okay? So they want to raise that money. And the government of Kenya is actually getting dividends right now as we speak because they own this percentage. And then if you were to compare how much they earn as a dividend and how much they are looking for, government of Kenya earns approximately 17 billion Kenyan shilling each and every year. 17 billion each and every year. They get that money from Safaricom because they are investors. Now they are like, gonna take us a little bit of a longer period of time by the time we hit 149, probably 8-ish or 9-ish to 10 year around there. They're like, how about if we can go ahead and sell this fraction and get this 149 billion? This will do us great thing. By the way, government of Kenya is about to construct a road all the way from Rironi to Mausami to there, around, I think, 170 something billion, if I'm not wrong. I stand corrected. Anyway, this is actually enough to build that. So now, where are you coming in? The government of Kenya have said by June 2026, they want to have liquidated all this and they want to have already raised that amount of money. This is where now you come in, okay? Once they sell these shares, because basically they will sell, we don't know the format they're gonna sell, whether it will be an IPO or it will be sold to a private company or whichever the arrangement they will have. The fact remains the shares will be sold, and of course the effect on the market will be there. We expect the market will actually go down. What does it mean when I say the market will actually go down? Right now, as we speak, I'm making this video around May. The shares, Safaricom shares, they are trading at around 70 point, whatever, 20 point, that's the current price per share. The moment all this amount of shares are actually sold, is actually, listen, they are saying it will be the single most biggest sort of an exchange or a trade that will happen in this region, not in Kenya, in this region. So that, of course, will affect the market at a very, very big rate. Probably these shares might actually shift all the way from 20 0.7 shillings, because of course we will have more liquidity. And when you have more liquidity, guess what happens? When a lot of shares are being sold, it's like dumping. We'll have more liquidity. Market tends to go down. Probably these shares might go all the way to, I don't want to give a number, but it can even go to 10. Who knows? It can actually even go to 10. Are we together? And if it can go up to 10, that means, because a lot of liquidity, it can also be vice versa. Why? Because those shares will actually show interest of a lot of people. Last time when they were selling back in 2008, around March of 28th, a lot of people, actually around 1.2 million people back then, they showed interest and they subscribed. Actually, they said that it was oversubscribed. Although there was some little bit of discouragement here and there. But what happens is that the moment you have a lot of liquidity, shares tend to go down. And then, this is where now we are targeting. The moment this market goes down, it means now the shares become more affordable for you and someone else and me and whatever. It is the best time to go into the what? Into the market. Listen, one thing. You don't go to a shop when everyone is buying. You go to a shop when everyone is selling. So that's when you show up to a shop. That's why I told you guys, keep your money ready, set aside for it. Because the moment that happens, it means that we will have like a hype of people selling. Oh, sure, that dumping will actually cause the market to go down. And that will be the best time to actually go there and grab that thing. And I really hope, let's say the government of Kenya will sell 15%. I don't know. I'm just throwing random numbers there. I don't know, and I'm not a representative for the government. Let's say they sell 15%. Then we have 25%. Then it means we'll have 40% free float. Then it means we'll have more shares to be sold. Or we'll be having more shares available for us to buy. Then this will be great. And then the government can retain, let's say, 20% or whichever the percentage that it will be left with. So this one, I think it will be great. Then, of course, I'm expecting market to go down. Then the market will actually recover and actually go up. So at that particular time, when we have that glitch, believe it's the best time to get yourself jump yourself into the bandwagon and be able to do something so that at least when the market is actually peaking, you can actually peak with it. Let me give an example. Back in 2008, we had something called the IPO. Okay. When the government decided to sell this to 25%, they did it through an IPO. When they put it out there for people to actually grab it, and they were selling it at 5 shillings. At 5 shillings, people bought it, and it actually remained at this level for a long period of time. Right now, it's at 20. If you go play what we call the long-term game, that is when we actually win. There was a time the Safaricom shares was around 26 shillings. I bet that's the highest we've ever gotten, and I stand corrected. You can always check it out. So far, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's the highest we've ever recorded. So those guys who are actually a bit patient, this is like 5 times of whatever you had invested. So if you had invested 100K, we're speaking of half a million-ish there. That's 5 times of whatever you've invested. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. Basically, if the government is looking for 149 billion, it's like the other way around of saying there is 149 billion to be grabbed as far as that is concerned. And if you have the shares with you there, some people ask me, Joseph, should we sell them now that the market can actually go to this time? Well, if you can be able to sell and get out of the market before that time, then it's better. But if the market gets you when it's 10, why would you sell that? So you just let it be. If you ask me, I would say shares are for long term. Unless you are this kind of an individual and you're well equipped with the knowledge about capital gain, where you can actually buy and sell, as quick as you can. Well and good, you can go do exactly that. So for me, would I advise you to sell? Well, just hang on. Just have a little bit of time for us to check out on how the market is. And I've actually seen out some sort of a positive trajectory. These shares some few months ago, like 3 or 4 months, these shares was around 14 shillings. Now we are at 20 shillings. There is an increment by 4 shillings or 4 units. Then that means it's actually showing you what? A positive trajectory. Number 2, you're supposed to understand that Safaricom is the single most biggest PLC company we have in Kenya. There was a time it had a turnover of 1.5 trillion Kenyan shilling. That's close to $15 billion. That's quite a huge amount of money. That's big. So, well, Safaricom is actually known to make profits. By the way, I was reading their financial submission as far as the year 2024, 2025 is concerned, and they were making quite over huge returns, in tunes of tens of billions, So it's a company that is actually showing a very well positive trajectory as far as the growth is concerned. So definitely, and it's the single most biggest telco company here in Kenya. In terms of dominance, it has dominated the market because almost everyone in Kenya has a Safaricom line in one way or the other, And yeah, when I tell you, if you want to buy me a coffee and I tell you you can send via M-Pesa, I mean, that's a Safaricom product. So it's that one big company that you can't deny. You can't ignore its presence. And why am I even mentioning their names? Anyway, they are Kenyan companies. Why not? Although the Safaricom, as we know it, as of now, it's owned by different people. For example, 5% is owned by Vodacom, which is a subsidiary of Vodafone, which is a British company. And of course, Safaricom also has that 25% free float. They also have that percentage that is owned by the government and whatever the other companies own it. Now, the point is, guys, keep your money close, be careful, be keen. And whatever I'm offering here, honestly speaking, I'm not telling you that everyone should go and buy Safaricom shares. At all the time, I love to tell people, please, whatever I'm sharing here is my own views, is my own analysis. Always make sure that you contact your financial advisor whenever you're making an investment decision, because you're supposed to make an investment decision. Don't just move with masses. Sit down, relax, and find out, truly speaking, if according to your personal finance and where you are heading and your goal, it is actually marrying you getting into the shares buying. Some of you may not be necessarily getting to the shares buying. Don't think that everyone needs this one or everyone does not need it. First of all, get a professional coaching and financial guidance so that at least you may make appropriate decision on what you can be able to invest on. But if you need any services on how to buy any given shares, be it either Safaricom or any other, you can always get me. That happens to be my number at all the time. Grab that number, shoot me a call, a text on my WhatsApp. I'll be able to handhold you step by step until you purchase your first shares. I forgot to tell you guys, hey, go ahead and grab that. My book is actually ready as far as the personal finance is concerned. Go ahead and grab this now, but that copy. Text me on WhatsApp, you get that copy. It's a personal finance book. Guess what? Very practical solutions. How do you manage your money? What goes where, and again, how do you actually plan yourself for ultimately to achieve what we call the financial freedom? So if you're looking for such a copy to help you manage your finances, if you have any difficulty, and if you do not, it's always good to have the knowledge by yourself. That is the number to grab. The copy goes only for 280 shillings. That's like less than $3-ish. Go ahead and spare that cup of coffee for that book. It can actually save you lots of money. This is good justice. Don't forget to as well subscribe to my YouTube channel, so that you'll be notified whenever I upload a new good video, because I do so each and every day. See you in the next one.